Episode 18. One night, Nwanika called me, her voice low and serious. "It's time to perform your duties as a wife," she said. I knew exactly what she meant, and my heart sank. How could I possibly intimate with an old man? Someone who was old enough to be my father? I felt a wave of anxiety wash over me as I thought about Matsi Obiora's wrinkled skin, his gray hair. That night, I cried myself to sleep, remembering all that I had been through. It had been 24 days since Elvis and Greg had threatened me, and I had no idea if Ike Mefuna had solved the problem as he had promised. Maybe they didn't even know where my family's house was. As I grasped for memories, trying to make sense of my situation, I couldn't help but wonder how I would be able to go through with this. How could I possibly meet with a man who was old enough to be my father and pretend to be his wife? The thought was revolting, and I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare from which I couldn't wake up. As soon as I heard the knock, I knew it was him. Matsi Obiora opened the door and sat down beside me. I had been sitting with my pillow at my leg, trying to appear as uninviting as possible. "How did you get yourself into being pregnant without knowing? Who is responsible for your pregnancy?" he asked, his voice low and gentle. I was taken aback by his question. I knew it was what my dad had told him, but I remained quiet, unsure of how to respond. Matsi Obiora looked at me with kind eyes. "Well, you're a young girl who still has a future. We just needed a child, and that's why you're here. I wouldn't do anything to hurt you or take advantage of your mistake." He paused, looking around the room nervously. "But don't tell my wife that I didn't, you know. Let's just keep this between us, okay?" That night, he took a mat and spread it out on the floor, sleeping there while I slept on the bed. I felt a sense of peace wash over me, knowing that I was safe and that the baby in my womb was safe too. I smiled, feeling a sense of gratitude towards Matsi Obiora. I touched my belly, feeling the tender skin. It was still hard to believe that I was going to be a mother, but with Matsi Obiora's kindness and understanding, I felt a sense of hope and renewal. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself growing more and more comfortable in Matsi Obiora's presence. At first, I had been hesitant and unsure of how to interact with him, but as time went on, I began to see him in a different light. He was kind and gentle, always looking out for my well-being and making sure I had everything I needed. He would sit with me for hours, listening to me talk and sharing stories of his own life. I found myself laughing and smiling in his presence, feeling a sense of joy and comfort that I hadn't felt in a long time. Nwanika, Matsi Obiora's wife, also played a significant role in my life. She was a motherly figure, always fussing over me and making sure I was eating well and taking care of myself. She would often sit with me and Matsi Obiora, listening to our conversations and adding her own insights and stories. As I got to know Matsi Obiora and Nwanika better, I started to develop feelings for him that went beyond mere gratitude and respect. I couldn't believe it. I was actually starting to fall for this kind and gentle old man. But as I looked into his eyes, I knew that I had to let go of these feelings. Matsi Obiora had made it clear that he wanted a father-daughter relationship with me, and I couldn't bear the thought of complicating things between us. Nwanika, sensing my emotions, would often look at me with a knowing glint in her eye. She seemed to understand that I had developed feelings for her husband, and she would sometimes take me aside and remind me of my role in their household. "You're like a daughter to us," she would say, her voice gentle but firm. "We love you and care for you, but you must remember your place." I knew that Nwanika was right, and I tried to push my feelings for Matsi Obiora deep down inside. I would continue to care for him and appreciate his kindness, but I would not allow myself to develop romantic feelings for him. It was a difficult thing to do, but I knew it was necessary. I didn't want to jeopardize the special bond that we had formed, or cause any awkwardness between us. So I kept my feelings hidden, and continued to enjoy Matsi Obiora's and Nwanika's company, as a wife and daughter. To be continued. Stay tuned for more episodes.